Go ahead and recap what we talked about last week. Last week was obviously all about cancer. For those of you who tuned in, you know it's really hard to talk about cancer in 30 to 45 minutes. So there's a lot of things that we want to be able to expand on, which is why we're looking forward to being able to get back into doing in-person workshops where we can spend a couple hours and not have to rush through material. But just like with the first week and with the last week, the biggest thing we always want you to take away from this is that your immune system is absolutely affected by the choices that you make day in and day out. And so for anybody to sit out there, especially in the time of the era that we're in right now, going through this coronavirus, if you're sitting out there thinking that you're powerless and there's nothing that you can do, that's absolutely not true. And you need to help, just like the title of this webinar series is, help build a fearless immune system, fearless immunity, okay? So yeah, if you missed that one about cancer last week, I encourage you to go back and look at it. You don't necessarily have to watch these in order, so don't feel like if you're staying tuned for today, don't feel like you have to watch number 2 before you see episode 3, okay? All right. What's that? Yeah. Do we have to do any other intros? You good to go? Okay. All right. So today is all about viral immunity, which again, with a certain virus that's floating around in the air right now, that's a big one for everybody. And there should be a lot of people tuning in just to learn a little bit more about that. What we're talking about today does not only apply to that virus, but certainly everything that we talk about. I did the research on it, and it has also, not only am I saying these things and backing them up with research to say that they help with a lot of different viruses, but specifically with the COVID virus, it's one of those that the research is also showing that these things help with that as well. And there's plenty of evidence to back that up. So if you ever have any questions about that research or you want to see the studies for yourself, I'm that type of person. So just reach out to us and let us know what specifically you wanted to see. And I can obviously link that to you, or we can talk about it next time you're in office, okay? All right, the germ theory. We talked about this a little bit in the intro class, week 1, but the biggest thing about the germ theory is that you have to realize what people were thinking back then. This was developed by Louis Pasteur. It was kind of, we call him the godfather of the germ theory, the father of the germ theory, and he kind of headwayed it all. In fact, the pasteurization process that our milk and cheese products go through to this day, they're named after Louis Pasteur because pasteurization helps get rid of germs. Pasteur was big into studying germs. He found that in cases of people who got sick, multiple cases, person to person, that he could find common links between these germs. That's how we developed the germ theory, which says that if your body is exposed to something like the influenza virus, that influenza virus is the thing that makes you sick. And the germ theory holds that in the highest regard. They say that it's because of germs, it's because of these microorganisms that you get sick. Dr. Liz and I do not participate in the germ theory. We do not support it, and we definitely don't live our lives that way. Because if that were true, they've done studies on this. They've swabbed shopping handle carts. They've looked at gas station pumps. They've basically surfaces that a lot of people touch. And if you look at these surfaces, in fact, I bet this desktop that I'm sitting at right now, if I were to swab it, I could probably find some really nasty germs that if you heard of influenza or E. coli or salmonella, I bet I could swab it, and I bet I could find some germs in that swab that are going to cause illnesses, or what the germ theory says are going to cause illnesses.
You know where they say is has more germs than a toilet seat is our cell phones.
Yeah.
Isn't that disgusting?
So you gotta think like, if that were true, if the germ theory were true, and all it takes is for a certain number or level or quantity of these microorganisms to build up in your body to make you sick, that everybody would be walking around sick. You'd be sick probably 50% of the year, right? But why do some people get so sick, even though they're exposed to the exact same things? I always like to use classrooms as an example. Why does one kid sitting in a classroom, eating the same lunch, playing with the same toys at recess, touching the same things that we touch, why does one kid get sick and the other kid doesn't?
Or even in your household.
Yeah.
Why does mom and kid get the flu, but not dad and the other 2 kids?
And right? I'm certain you can think of times in your life where, oh, you know what, we all got the flu that one time. But there's also plenty of other cases where, maybe only one person got sick or one person got the cold, and everybody else was fine and didn't have a problem with it. And so if the germ theory were true, I don't think you would see cases like that. And we see them all the time here in the United States, across the world. So we subscribe more to what's called the terrain theory, which means that the environment that you're in and the environment you put your body in, meaning not only externally environment, but internal environment, which we'll be talking a lot about today.
What's that?
What's that?
That's all that.
Yeah, you spelled terrain theory, right? Okay. That terrain, that environment you put your body internally and externally to is what's going to ultimately determine how your immune system can function. And I like to go back and talk a little bit about the history of chiropractic. This is Dr. D.D. Palmer. He's what we call him the founder of chiropractic. He did the first chiropractic adjustment on September 18th of 1895. So we just celebrated like the 126th birthday of chiropractic. Yeah, math. But he was originally a different type of doctor. He was like what they called back then a magnetic healer, which is kind of voodoo at the time. Energy focused healing. And then he started adjusting the spine because he found a janitor that worked in his office building was deaf and had always had problems with his spine. And he found a bone out of place in his neck, put it back in, and over the course of several adjustments, the hearing started coming back in. But this is one of his statements, and I think it shows you, why do we as chiropractors focus on this so much? Why are we as your chiropractors sitting here talking about your immune system? Shouldn't we leave that to the experts, as they say, right? Why are your medical doctors and immunologists, why don't we leave it to the pathologists? But not only are we educated just as much as them on the pathology and the immune system and the microbiology of the human body, but we also come at it with this in our history. So this is what some of the principles that chiropractic was founded on. He said that I desire to know why one person was ailing and his associate eating at the same table, working in the same shop, at the same bench was not. Why? What difference was there in these two persons that caused one to have a variety of diseases while his partner escaped and didn't have any? And it's the same thing I was just talking about with the classroom example.
Yeah, and I know that we've talked about this before, whether, I can't remember at this point, if it was this workshop or this series or a previous one that we've done, but if you're around someone who's sick, say they have the cold or say they have the flu, and you're like, oh my gosh, I get sick every time I'm near someone. If your body can't fight off a cold, if your body can't fight off a flu, if you're constantly getting sick, sinus infections, if you're constantly getting sinus infections, that's not a good sign for your immune system. It means your immune system is not functioning well. And fighting off something like cancer, like we talked about last week, that requires your immune system to be able to fight that off. So you have to recognize the fact that you're getting a sinus infection every single year is that your immune system is shot, and you need to start supporting it, and you need to start supporting it now through everything that we talk about today.
Yeah, it's not about the germs, it's about the state of health of the host. So this is
not that we're saying like still wash your hands, like
there's
like basic, like, come on, yes, wash your hands when you get home from the grocery store. We're not saying that. Don't take it the wrong way.
I don't want anybody out there licking their cell phones because of what I'm going to say today. But this is Dr. B.J. Palmer. And Dr. B.J. Palmer is the son of Dr. D.D. Palmer, so they call him the developer of chiropractic because after his father founded chiropractic, B.J. was the one that kind of moved it forward. And he did it through science and research, which, back in the 1920s up till the day of his death in 1960s, the research isn't the same as it is today, but he was still doing science-based research. And he said that if the germ theory of disease were correct, there'd be no one living to believe it. And I think that's exactly what I was talking about. If that were the only thing that affected your ability to fight off infections was the number of microorganisms or germs we come in contact with every day, everybody would be sick all the time.
Yep.
All right, so what is the immune system? There's not enough time to go into it all, right? So what I basically want you to know is that the immune system is not just one thing. It's not just your pancreas. It's not just your spleen. It's not just your gut, although that is a very big part to it. I mean, you can literally point to any part of your body and there's going to be some type of immune function that is so important out of that. Like your liver produces enzymes, your pancreas produces your T cells, your gut produces the microbiome, your skin provides a layer of protection, the mucosa inside of your mouth and in your nose has immune defenses in it. So don't just look at it and say, all I need to do is cleanse my liver and my immune system is going to be working at 100%. It might help, but it's certainly not the only piece to the puzzle.
And your first layer of defense against your immune system is which organ? It's your skin.
Yeah, skin's number one.
That's the first layer of defense.
Well, I can take it a step further and say it's not just the skin, but it's actually you have a microbiome on your skin. There are good and bad. Yeah, there's good and bad bacteria on the skin. So
I'm going to talk about that in a couple minutes.
You could take that to the nth level and still find probably something else. So that's the only thing I really want to talk about. The other thing I definitely want to talk about on this slide is that there's this really cool study done, and one of my favorite doctors talks about it all the time. But it was a study done on what does early exposure, what kind of effect does it have on your immune system, and not only your immune system, but your autoimmune. So if you're one of those people who has an autoimmune condition, or maybe they run in your family, this is something that can help. So it was a really cool study done, and they wanted to know, how does early exposure to pathogens such as bacteria, viruses in the dirt, and even like things like allergens and pollen counts and like literally anything that you could expose your child to within the first year of life. They wanted to know, what effect does it have on your long-term immunity? This kind of goes back to the old wives' tale, like, don't shelter your kids too much, let them go out and play in the dirt, right? Like, the old wives' tale is an old wives' tale because it's true. Right? And history kind of stands up to the test of science a lot of the times. Not all the time, but a lot of the times, what we say in history stands up to the test of science. So this is one of them. And this study really showed that if you expose your child within the first year of life to microorganisms like we're talking about here today, it decreases significantly their chances of getting asthma, allergies, having wheezing or coughing problems later in life, and also showed the ability to reduce the risk of getting eczema later in life, a skin condition called eczema, right? In fact, the study showed that you are 3 times more likely, when you are not exposed to these microorganisms within the first year of your life, you're 3 times more likely to have asthma, allergies, problems with wheezing and eczema.
Wow.
3 times more likely. Now, here's what's really cool about the study is after the first year of life, there's no effect. So like within the first year of life, your body builds up its external immune system by being exposed to these allergens, these microorganisms. I found that really cool to say, like, wow, at a year, that's how long it takes for your immune system to develop. First of all, that's kind of fascinating, because think of all the things that you're exposed to within a year.
Yeah.
But then after a year, you've already built up enough of an immune system that no matter what else comes your way, your immune system's ready to go.
That's cool.
It's just basically saying, like, yeah, within that first year of life, you're setting the tone for your immune system, possibly for the rest of your life. We haven't done that long term of a study yet, but it was really cool to see that within the first year of life, it pretty much develops and stops.
Our neighbor made a comment, because we let James, in the back with a shirt off in his diaper. He kind of barefoot, walks around in the grass and the rocks, and he's like, I think it's really cool that you guys do that. You don't really see that nowadays. And I'm like, for me, I'm like, oh, is this unusual? I'm like, yeah, I guess we can call it free range parenting. Like, just let them explore.
Well, that's where you have to decide whatever path you want to take as a parent. I would never try to tell you what to do. I'm just saying that there's really cool science behind it that shows you that, those old wives' tales are true.
Yeah.
All right. As it relates to the COVID virus, okay, I said I'm not going to say it. I've been saying it a lot, actually. But I'm only saying it because with these comorbidities, the research, we are starting to see research come out about it. And it's not only research about, how bad is the virus, how many people does it kill, what are the long-term effects of it, but it's also showing what type of population is most susceptible to it. And I think that's really telling, again, just like we talked about, how important is the terrain, the environment that we're putting our bodies into, and what are the chances of us getting sick, or not even that you get sick and catch the virus, but is it causing symptoms? Is it going to threaten your life if it gets bad enough, right? And again, the research is out on all of these bolted points you're seeing on this slide, from obesity, heart conditions, diabetes, weak immune system, which is, looking at T cell counts inside the blood, and then even something as silly as like high blood pressure, which think about how many people that have high blood pressure. These things have now been proven with the research that we have over the last, it's been 8 months now. I don't know if you guys realize that, but it's been 8 months that we've been affected or shut down or stopped by this virus, and is ruling our lives right now. And the science has been pretty clear about it, that if you have these comorbidities, your chances of getting sick from it and also dying from it go up significantly. The only one that I really want to spend some time talking about was obesity. Obesity is like the #1 comorbidity that if you have the coronavirus, it is the #1 thing that is going to cause either a severe reaction to it or potentially cause your death. It was like I forget what it was. I think I wrote it down. Okay, I didn't write it down, but it's like significantly increases your chance of dying just from being categorized as obese. I actually officially would be categorized as obese. I'm a bigger guy. I'm definitely not, 0% body fat or anything like that, but I'm in pretty good shape. And I work out and I exercise and I got a lot of muscle mass, but technically I am obese. So again, they're just looking at that and saying that that is enough to make your immune system shut down enough that you can't fight off this coronavirus. So again, look at these and tell yourselves, if you're one of those that has a diagnosis, or if it runs in your family, or if you're worried about a loved one, like, this are the things that you can control and you can help improve upon.
And I just want to expand on that and say the answer to that, if you are in that category, is not wearing a mask. Okay, the answer is strengthening your immune system. Okay, that's huge.
All right, we've talked about the gut numerous times. This is not a gut workshop, so I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, but I wanted to tell you specifically how the gut and the immune system are so closely tied together. And I just want to give you one really cool example, because again, we only got 30 minutes. I'm probably already over my time technically. But there's one really cool example. It was a study that was done on omega-3 fatty acids. You always hear about us talking about how important healthy fats are to your gut health, right? And this not only has impact in your digestion, but it also has an impact directly on your immune system. So this was a really cool study that they did. They looked at healthy people and they compared them to people that were getting sick chronically. And basically, healthy fats, which are omega-3s and omega-6s, if you break them down, they're EPAs and DHAs. Inside of the body, they convert into multiple different molecules to help decrease inflammation. But it only decreases inflammation after the infection. So think of this as omega-3 fatty acids. After your body's inflamed and infected, they help increase the healing process, which means you're going to recover faster. You're not going to have symptoms that last forever. And it even helps in the respiratory tract. It helped, I think it was something like 35% in healing by having enough omega-3s in your diet to help support this healing process after you're sick. And the reason for that is because these omega-3 fatty acids are so important to controlling the cellular membrane, the outer ring of the cell. It helps get the good things in and the bad things out. We spent a little bit of time talking about this last workshop too. Yep. But who would have thought that something is just as simple as eating enough healthy fats or supplementing with an omega supplement is going to be enough to help build your gut microbiota, that you're actually fighting off this immune system and you're helping your body heal. And the reason why I bring it up with this coronavirus stuff that's going on right now, because what's the new thing we're hearing about? Right now it's oh, well, even if you don't get sick, you might have to worry about the long-term consequences of it. Well, omega-3 fatty acids are going to help your body heal fast enough so you don't have to worry about the long-term consequences. And it's even been proven to help in the respiratory tract. So it's not just healing your gut, it's healing every cell on a cellular level because the cellular membranes are stronger because of it.
And not all supplements are created equal, so you have to make sure you're getting high quality supplements.
Yeah, so build a fearless immune system, and it all starts, next slide, it all starts with the 5 essentials, which is chiropractic, nutrition, mindset, which we're going to talk a little bit about, oxygen and exercise, and of course, minimizing these toxins in your life. Create that strong environment for your body to thrive in.
Yep. So this is one thing. So basically, Dr. Xavier and I every week have talked about the importance of the nervous system. Last week, we talked about parasympathetic versus your sympathetic nervous system and how chiropractic can help with that. This week, I want to talk about the difference in a nervous system focused chiropractor and a pain-based chiropractor. So Dr. Xavier and I are nervous system centered chiropractors. And what that means is that we have the understanding that your nervous system controls all health and healing. So Dr. Xavier was talking about how every organ in your body plays a part within the immune system. Well, can you grab the spine? If there's pressure, say this is the nerve telling your liver, right, to process all of the toxins, okay, that are coming in, and that your spine is shifted and it puts pressure on that nerve telling your liver to function. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, right? There's pressure on it. Well, guess what? Now that organ does not function as well as it can because there's pressure on the nerve telling that organ to function. Now, of course, it's much more complicated than that. There's a lot more that goes into it, but for the simple version of how your body works, this is it. It's simple, okay? So this is what we need to do, is aim to take pressure off of your nervous system so that your body can function and heal properly. Is decreased pain going to be a bonus effect of that, of restoring that nervous system? Yeah, but it's about so much more than that, okay? Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. So when we say powers on, that's because we've now removed the interference that's not allowing your body to function and heal at 100%. And that includes your immune system, right? Your brain controls your immune system. Your brain tells the healing cells in your body where they need to go. And so we want that signal, that communication to be sent without interference. And so that's what's happening every time you get adjusted. And structural care versus symptom care, this is why we recommend, lifetime care, because we don't want you to come in when you're only in pain. Like when you're in pain, there's already been a problem there for a really long time. We want, one, to prevent pain. Prevention, right, is key. But we also want to make sure that your body isn't focused on only healing that pain. If you're in pain, that's what your body's going to focus on healing. If you're not in pain, your body, guess what? It gets to focus on other things, if that makes sense. Okay, and then nutrition. As it relates to your immune system, while you are fighting sickness all the time, really, or we are fighting sickness all of the time, it's important to decrease your sugars. The second you have sugar in your body, your immune system decreases. I know they've done studies on this and what happens. So sugars are not only, like, we're showing sugar cubes here. Obviously, most of you aren't going around eating sugar cubes. It's not only sweets. Your starchy carbohydrates, your breads, your pastas, they turn to sugar within your system. The drinks that we have, there's sugar in those. So here's what I want you guys to do. I want to challenge everyone to start counting your sugars that you eat in a day. And ideally, a woman would have 24 grams of sugar and a man can have 30 grams of sugar. And that includes your fruits. So I just want to challenge you guys to do that and see truly how much sugar you're consuming, and then try to half that, if that makes sense. Because I honestly, I think 24 is a very difficult number to maintain. But if you can start somewhere, okay, I'm gonna track this for 3 days, and then I'm gonna aim to get half of that. Your immune system is gonna function immensely better. So that's simple. And then Morgan, when she sits down with you guys to do your nutrition consult, most of our practice members, we recommend starting with the advanced plan. So the advanced plan is if you are trying to heal from a chronic disease, if you're trying to balance your hormones, if you're trying to lose weight. And what that is, it's eliminating all grains, eliminating all sugar. So typically you'll do that for about 30 to 90 days. And then you can transfer over to what's called the core plan. And the core plan is eating organic as much as possible, making sure that you're eating more healthy fats and less damaged fats. You're getting naturally raised animal proteins. You're not getting refined carbohydrates. So the core plan is a way of living your life versus the advanced plan is more of a cellular healing diet. So if you're interested in either one of those, if you want a challenge, if you're the type of person that says, just tell me what to do and I'll do it, well, guess what? We can have challenges for you for what that looks like. So we're happy to help you guys with that. And of course, exercise, we talked about that last week, and how exercise, every time you get oxygen into your body, when when your heart rate increases, when you're breathing heavy, you're getting oxygen into your body. That oxygen is killing disease cells within your body. So it reduces your illness risk by over 40%. And I'll tell you what, just a clinical observation, Xavier's the studies guy. I don't have any studies to back what I'm about to say up. This is just something.
I probably do.
This is just something that I notice is our practice members that exercise, not only is their health better, but they look younger. They look significantly younger. It helps with cellular repair. So someone comes in and they've been exercising and they look like 10 years younger than they actually are. It's pretty amazing. Exercise it's key. It's crucial. I don't care what you do, but you need to find something that you love or find something that you can tolerate, find the time and do it. All right. It's huge. And then minimizing toxins. I just want to go through, there's two major toxins that I want to go through. One is antibacterial soap. Now, the biggest thing with antibacterial soap was triclosan, and that's, luckily, they've actually banned triclosan in antibacterial soaps as of 2018, which is great. So triclosan is linked to liver and inhalation toxicity. So it's toxic on your liver, and it's specifically been shown to damage your lungs, especially when mixed with ammonia. And another big thing that it does is it disrupts thyroid function. So think about, so many people have thyroid issues. Well, not only is triclosan in antibacterial soap, but it's in your personal products that you're using. It's in your dish soap. It's in even some children's toys. It's all over your household products. So you have to be very careful about the household products that you're using. So for cleaning products, Dr. Xavier and I reuse all Norwex products. We're not using any Clorox. We use essential oils, but I'll get to that in a second. So antibacterial soap. Now, in addition to that triclosan, they've also studies. There are no studies to support the fact that antibacterial soap is more effective than just regular soap and water. So you're getting all of these extra chemicals in the antibacterial soap. And in addition, we talked about how your skin has a microbiome. There's healthy bacteria on your skin. Well, what do you think you're doing? Antibacterial soap. You're destroying that natural bacteria on your skin. You want that healthy bacteria on your skin. So even the soaps that you're using in the shower, those are going to destroy the good bacteria on your skin. So you want to be careful about those too.
Hand sanitizer falls in this category too.
Hand sanitizer does still have triclosan in it. That's not been banned in sanitizer. So we never ever use hand sanitizer. That stuff freaks me out way more than germs freak me out. But yeah, I would say just switch to regular soap and water as much as you can. And then your cleaner. So we are not using Clorox in the office. We are using a COVID-approved cleaner that's called Force of Nature, and it's non-toxic. The reason for that, Clorox, yes, it's been shown to kill viruses and bacteria, but we talked last week about the damaging effect of fragrances. Well, Clorox, just the brand Clorox, through all of their products, uses over 1,200 different fragrances. Specifically, I can't even say this word.
Acetaldehyde, which is just, think of formaldehyde.
No, these words. Galaxolide and tantalide. They've both been linked to hormone disruption and breaking down, again, cellular defenses against toxic exposures. Okay, so those are all the fragrances among all their products. They're messing with your hormones. They're neurotoxins, meaning they're excitotoxins, freaking your brain cells out. But then there's also say it again?
Acetal.
That's a hard word.
It's like formaldehyde, but it's acetaldehyde.
Acetaldehyde. I can't even say it. I guess I'm just gonna copy and paste this and display it for you guys so you can see these crazy words. Then you have oxybenzone, a hormone disrupting chemical used in sunscreen. Let's see if I can show this. There you go. Now you guys can see it. Then you've got phenyl and benzyl oxyl. Those are neurotoxins. And then you've got triethanolamine, which can cause asthma to develop in otherwise healthy individuals. So these are what's in your Clorox. These are why we are not willing to use these in our office, because if we use that on the table and then you go lay down and breathe that stuff in, we don't want to expose you guys to those chemicals. And what's scary to me is this is what daycares are using for children. This is what the church nursery is using for children. So this is why we use that Force of Nature cleaner, because it doesn't have any of those things. So if you're using Clorox anywhere in your home, I highly encourage you to switch over the cleaners that you're using, because these chemicals, they're really scary and they are not banned from your cleaners. So I know that's kind of like a lot. This is why we are doing one workshop at a time, so that you can focus on changing one thing at a time. You can say, okay, I'm not ready to focus on my diet yet. I'm going to switch over my cleaners, or I'm going to switch over my personal products, and just do one thing at a time. And then last thing I just want to hit on for you guys is stress. Where do you get Force of Nature? You can get Force of Nature. It's just online, forceofnature.com. And I think I have a referral code if anybody wants it. It's like 25% off. But I think even if you go to the website, it automatically populates a 25% off coupon for new clients. But then stress. Okay, so 55% of Americans have stated that they go through stress during the workday. So no matter what your stress is caused by, I would say, I think we talked about this last week, every practice member we have with chronic disease has chronic stress in their life. So I think stress is unavoidable. And like Dr. Xavier said, stress in times of need, stress is actually a really good thing. But finding ways to cope with it's crucial.
Well, and then remember that stress affects your hormone levels. And we know that inadequate hormones or abnormal imbalances in hormones leads to a decreased immune system. And it's proving true with COVID too. There's a reason why men tend to die more frequently from COVID than females do. And there's a lot of research going into it right now, so it's not settled yet. But one of the big things is that they think testosterone in men causes an abnormal immune reaction, and increased estrogen, which is women, but still at healthy levels, actually helps balance the immune system. So your hormones, basically all I'm trying to say is that your hormones have a direct impact on your immune system as well. So yeah, if you're stressed out and it's affecting your hormone levels, your corticosteroid levels, your cortisol levels, your immune system is affected by that too. So
you know what else helps you with your stress? Your adjustments.
And exercise.
Yep. I'm just going to go through these supplements super quick. So these are the immune supporting supplements.
You talked a little bit about these at the first PowerPoint.
Yeah, if you are at risk for COVID, if you have any of those comorbidities that Dr. Xavier highlighted earlier, you're going to want to be on these following supplements.
These do not treat COVID, but they help boost your immune system.
Yeah, that's a good disclaimer. So vitamin D3, I kind of feel like we talk about vitamin D3 enough. I don't need to talk about it more. Everybody needs to be on it. It's good for everything. You need to get your levels checked every single year to make sure that they're between 60 and 80. It's as simple as that.
People with the most severe reactions to COVID so far have been 80% deficient in vitamin D3.
Every single cancer patient that we've seen has had vitamin D levels lower than 20. Like, it's not something to mess with. Your vitamin D levels need to be good. Next is vitamin C. So vitamin C is an antioxidant. So it's been shown to improve the effectiveness of your white blood cells, which those are the cells that fight infections. So they've been shown that if you do get sick, it can decrease the duration of your illness by 17%. Now, I will say there are some studies that suggest that specifically liposomal vitamin C is the most beneficial. No.
It's liposomal?
Yeah. At this point in time, liposomal might be the most effective. It's the way that it's absorbed in the body. But you can also, in bell peppers, organic bell peppers, you have 300% of your daily vitamin C. So
and bell peppers are also really high in flavonoids, which help cellular membrane levels. Or IV vitamin C is also a lot. And I talked a lot about that last time.
Xavier wants to talk about zinc.
Just go through some things real quick. You only need 9 to 11 milligrams of zinc a day. Only 8% of the population is deficient in zinc, but I think there's different levels of deficiency. And I think if you want to specifically help boost milligrams.
Okay.
If you want to help boost your immune system during this time to make sure you're getting extra, you can take like upwards of 80 to 90 milligrams of zinc a day and be totally fine. There's not much recourse or any side effects negative that you'd have to worry about. But not too many people are deficient in the sense that you're so bad that you're going to cause problems. But if you want to boost your immune system, this is a great way to do it. 45% of 60-year-olds or older that have decreased zinc, that is why COVID is attacking the older population. So 45% of over 60-year-olds are deficient in vitamin D. So only 8% of the population as a whole, but 60 years old and over is 45%. So as you age, zinc goes down pretty quickly. That's why that's one of the big reasons why I think COVID is attacking elderly populations. And again, research is going into that. More studies done on it. 600 elderly patients were given zinc for a year. It increased their zinc levels, and they were 50% less likely to get pneumonia. Mm-hmm. Pneumonia is obviously something to be fearful of, but also pneumonia is very similar to coronavirus. So it's another great study. And yeah, it's a respiratory virus is what I'm trying to say, basically. 20 milligrams a day in kids decreased pneumonia by 30 to 41%. So what it does, zinc specifically inhibits the virus's ability to replicate via your RNA or DNA. So by inhibiting the virus's ability to spread, it not only helps you stop from getting sick in the first place, but it also helps it fight over and get over it quicker.
So zinc is not something that your body naturally produces as it does vitamin D. So you have to be getting it through diet and or supplements. Zinc is found a lot in lamb. It's also in mushrooms. It's in kale. So those are those are just a few of the foods that you can increase.
Interesting note about zinc is vegetarian zinc, which means zinc that comes from fruits and vegetables, is not as likely to boost your immune system as zinc coming from meats and protein sources. Okay. Cool little study I found.
So
if you're a vegetarian,
we have a zinc that we're going to start carrying in the office, which is good news. And then lastly, elderberry, echinacea, and other herbs. Everyone is all about elderberry syrup right now. Elderberries are a powerhouse of nutrients. They're critical for immune function. Echinacea It's from the Daisy family, and it's also been found to boost your immune system and decrease your risk of getting sick by over 50% and reducing the length of sickness by 1.5 days. So these are also great herbs to take, and here is the bundle that we have. So these are the supplements that we're going to start carrying in the office. Of course, we have the vitamin C and vitamin D already, but the zinc and the IM support, which the IM support is what contains this elderberry echinacea. It has mushroom herbs are in there. So if you know, oh, okay, I'm not having those things, and if you are in the risk factor for those comorbidities, then this is going to be the bundle that you want to grab. So I think that's all we have for today. Thank you again, guys, for tuning in. If you have any questions, you can comment on here. We'll see them. And thanks for listening to us. Hope y'all have a great weekend.